Billy Luna.
Sammy the Bull admitted to killing 19 people.
Right. How about the kid he killed, the 16-year-old? You don't talk about that. He killed a 16-year-old innocent kid.
One of the murders that Sammy the Bull Gravano confessed to was the brutal slaying of a 16-year-old high school student named Alan Kaiser. Alan Kaiser was a Boy Scout and a painter whose artwork hung in the Brooklyn Museum of Art. Alan Kaiser was innocently walking his girlfriend home when the children had the misfortune of witnessing Sammy the Bull Gravano committing a drive-by shooting against an outlaw biker. Vlad TV just launched part 14 of their Skinny Joey Merlino series. So what I'm going to do is we're going to watch it together. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to pause it. And then I'm going to kind of fill in the blanks about the people from the Mafia and the situations from the Mafia that Joey's discussing. Because Joey doesn't really go into it very much. And Vlad doesn't really ask the correct follow-up question. So I'm going to fill in all the blanks and explain it all to you. So it's better to watch me doing it than it is to watch the original interview. This is probably the best segment of the Vlad interview with Skinny Joey Merlino because Joey's doing something that Joey does best, and that is going after the rats. And the interview kind of blows my mind because Vlad, who many consider to be the king of the rats, is kind of going against his nature. So let's just get right into it. All right, here we go.
Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.
When you look at this life, all the various mafia guys, what percentage of them end up cooperating?
Today it might be 98%. A lot of them.
Joey says that it looks like it's about 98% are cooperating right now. And that's like, if you look at YouTube, it's kind of representative of that notion because all you see with these supposed gangsters is they're just a pack of rats, really. Joey's the only real deal out there.
If what you're saying is true and 98% of people cooperate, why would anyone willingly get into a life like this? Knowing that at some point these people, they're supposed to be your...
I'm not in any life. He's just totally like just not saying anything that he doesn't want to say. Vlad will never get Joey to say anything he doesn't want to say. Joey will not fold under the questioning of the likes of Vlad or anyone else.
Supposed to be your brothers and you take an oath with them, ultimately end up turning on.
I don't know nothing about that.
Joey's like, I don't know nothing about that. Once again, Joey is not going to say anything that Joey does not want to say. Vlad will not get him to say this. And it's hysterical to me.
They make it that easy to get out of jail. All you got to do is say, he told me that he did it. That's it.
So Joey's just saying anybody can be a rat. It's easy to be a rat. All you got to do is just say anything to the government and they'll buy it. A lot of these rats, it's kind of the case.
You could be in my cell for 2 weeks. All I got to do is read your indictment or newspaper, and I say, yeah, Vlad told me he did this, he did that, and he did that. And you got a case. That's that easy.
What Joey's talking about here is he said somebody can be in my cell for 2 weeks, and all they have to do is if they got a hold of his indictment or just found out his charges, they can go to the feds and just fabricate something. Now, this is interesting because Joey has a story about this where his locker was broken into in prison, and they went, and the only thing they took was in his indictment. This is the story that Joey related.
I never locked my lock. I had 200 packs of cigarettes, 50 books of stamps. They didn't steal nothing. You know what they stole? My indictment. They read the indictment. That's how easy it is for them. Yeah. They read the indictment. Yeah, Joey did this, and that. Then they go down and tell the government. Yeah, Joey told me he did this. Joey told me he did that. Nothing else. That's nothing of value. But that's more valuable because they're trying to get out of jail.
Sammy the Bull admitted to killing 19 people.
Right.
One of which is actually his brother-in-law.
Vlad mentioned about Sammy the Bull Gravano killing his brother-in-law as one of the 19 people he killed. Mafia turncoat and former Gambino family underboss Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano murdered his own brother-in-law, Nick Sciabetta, then coldly attended Sciabetta's funeral. Sammy the Bull's victim, Nick Sciabetta, just 22 years old when his life was snuffed out, was Sammy Gravano's wife, Deborah's brother. Gravano, who planned and executed the brutal murder of Sciabetta, coldly attended the young man's funeral, where only the hand of Sciabetta was present in the casket, a macabre reminder of the heinous crime. A hand was all that was left of Nick Sciabetta after Sammy's handiwork. The 22-year-old Nick Sciabetta, Sammy Gravano's brother-in-law, law marked the second of 19 confessed killings by Sammy the Bull Gravano. Allegedly, the family dog discovered one of Shabetta's arms and brought it home, a morbid twist in an already nightmarish tale. Even Gravano's own wife, Deborah, purportedly remained in the dark about her husband's involvement in her younger brother's murder until Sammy the Bull's trial.
Sammy the Bull.
How about the kid he killed, the 16-year-old? You don't talk about that. He killed a 16-year-old innocent kid.
When Skinny Joey Merlino tells Vlad that Sammy killed a 16-year-old kid, Vlad's response is, And he just goes on and asks the question he already had loaded up and kind of bypasses. And he doesn't ask a follow-up question. I guess maybe he didn't do the due diligence with the research. The 16-year-old child that Skinny Joey Merlino is referring to, the name of the child is Alan Kaiser. And I'm going to tell you the 100% true story of this right now.
One of the murders that Sammy the Bull Gravano confessed to and that he served a measly 3 months in prison for was the brutal slaying of a 16-year-old high school student named Alan Kaiser. Alan Kaiser was a Boy Scout and a painter whose artwork hung in the Brooklyn Museum of Art. Alan Kaiser was innocently walking his girlfriend home when the children had the misfortune of witnessing Sammy the Bull Gravano and his goon, Louis Melito, committing a drive-by shooting against an outlaw biker. Sammy would disgustingly say in a 2019 video that Alan Kaiser was quote-unquote high and ran at the armed gangsters as they committed the drive-by. In his book, Sammy implied that Alan Kaiser was a friend of the target of Sammy the Bull's drive-by shooting. These are all bold-faced lies that slander a child whom Sammy the Bull Gravano murdered in cold blood. And as for Louis Melito, with whom Sammy participated in the killing of the innocent child, Alan Kaiser, Sammy would have his good friend Louis Melito killed years later. 16-year-old Alan Kaiser was cowardly shot in the back of the head, murdered in cold blood because he was an innocent bystander to a drive-by shooting that Sammy the Bull was participating in. Sammy the Bull is a pretty glamorous and honorable gangster, huh?
See, this is the problem with a lot of informants, okay? You have to make a deal with the devil or a monster to bring down a guy like John Gotti. Basically, you have to kind of cut a deal with a mass murderer who killed a child. And, that's the problem. The government kind of sets these people up, and we know there's a long history of this. Like, say, the FBI, they had set up Greg Scarpa, and they kind of were even feeding him information. And, there's blood on the hands of the FBI for this kind of thing. I mean, it's terrible to just let a guy off who's a mass murderer, but they've actually kind of aided and abetted these kind of guys. And a guy like Sammy the Bull then later goes on to be a huge dealer years later in Arizona. And it's like, what are you doing, feds? What are you doing to take down John Gotti and have him die in prison? Is it worth it? It's an interesting debate. We'll table that for another time. We'll move along with the video.
Sammy the Bull. He ended up getting 5 years. He cooperated against a bunch of mafia bosses, taking the stand whenever they wanted to in order to achieve that.
Well, you got 5 years. He killed 18 people. You do the math. What do you get in 3 months of murder? You get more for drunk driving, right? You get more for drunk driving 3 months. 3 months of murder you got.
Joey says that basically breaks down the math of Sammy the Bull Gravano for all the people that he was convicted of killing. If 3 months of murder, you get more for drunk driving. That's a fact.
Listen, they all got the same Franchise, Sammy the Bull, Sicali, that fat kid Ruggiero, whatever his name. They changed their life. That's what they say. Yeah, they changed their life with handcuffs went on them.
Skinny Joey Merlino mentions a lot of names here. He mentions Michael Franzese. He refers to him as Michael Franchese. Obviously, we know who he is. We'll go into it a lot more. A capo in the Colombo family who's now found God. And then we talk about Fat Andy Ruggiano. Well, it's actually Andy Ruggiano Jr. He's Fat Andy's son, but he's actually a big fat guy himself. And then he also mentions Dominic Cicali, who is a Bonanno. Well, some say he's a Bonanno family captain. Others argue that he was only an acting captain. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about these individuals.
Anthony Ruggiano Jr., son of a notorious Gambino family mobster, Anthony Ruggiano Sr., a.k.a. Fat Andy. Anthony Ruggiano Jr. followed in his father's footsteps by getting involved in crime. However, unlike his father, who was a Cosa Nostra heavyweight and Gambino family captain, Anthony Ruggiano Jr. turned into a junkie and mob nobody. Then later, he became a rat. Anthony Ruggiano Jr. switched sides to save his own hide. Facing heat for the murder of his own brother-in-law, Ruggiano Jr. turned state's witness, aiding the feds in taking down several mafia heavy hitters. Thanks to his cooperation, Ruggiano Jr. got off with a mere 3-day sentence for his brother-in-law's murder. Dominic Cicali. Multiple murderer and ex-Bonanno captain, Dominic Cicali, once a trusted confidant of acting Bonanno family boss, Vinny Gorgeous Basciano, turned on his friend and mentor and became a government rat. Cicali, once the right-hand man to Basciano, chose a path of betrayal, taking the stand as a star witness in Basciano's mob trial for murder.
They changed their life. That's what they say. Let me ask you a question. Yeah, they changed their life with handcuffs put on them. If Sammy the Bull and all them, the names are Francesi, all these rats never got locked up, where would they be right now? You tell me.
Probably doing the same thing they were doing before they got
Phil Leonetti.
So Joey says that they changed their lives when the handcuffs were put on them. Ruggiano and Franzese has found God. Ruggiano, he's a changed man and he wants to help people. And, Joey says this is all BS. These guys are just complete hypocrites, liars, and they're just opportunists. And they're just like, they're jailhouse Christians that, kind of just adapted that persona. That's what Joey asserts. Skinny Joey Merlino came along and he's really messing up the program of the YouTube rativerse. All of these rats, these informants, had a really nice time pretending to be mafiosi again, when in reality they went against their code and they're just a bunch of informants and rats. And Joey comes along, the real deal, a real stand-up guy, and he's just messing up the program for everybody. There's been some rumors swirling around that New York is upset with Skinny Joey Merlino because he is the current boss of the Philadelphia Mafia, and New York is upset with him because he's got a YouTube channel, and that some of these mafia historians on YouTube said they're going to take Joey out. In reality, New York has a huge rat problem. I don't think they're going after Skinny Joey Merlino. In fact, if anybody would want to take a shot at Joey, I think it's the YouTube rativerse, these rats that Joey's messing up their whole thing, because these guys ain't OGs. They're just grumpy old men rolling around in a junky old Benz. Joey mentions that Michael Francesi has found God. And, that's the whole thing. He's a born-again Christian. But Joey kind of poses the thing. It's like, if you are such a born-again Christian and trying to get people to do the right thing and all this, should you be sitting down with a guy like Sammy the Bull who killed a child and smirking and mugging? Or should you be, not on that show, first of all, or should you be questioning it, or at least kind of mentioning that stuff? It's interesting. Joey's putting forth some really, really tough questions. Niccolo Machiavelli, a lot of the mobsters have read his book, The Prince, where he talks about how to gain and keep power. And one thing that Machiavelli loved was to be the most ruthless and bloodthirsty person, but to maintain the most divine of appearances. It's interesting that a lot of these guys like Machiavelli and they kind of follow that game plan.
Phil Leonetti, his mother used to love it when they called it. They used to write in the paper, Crazy Phil Leonetti. She loved it.
Joey talks about Phil Leonetti, Crazy Phil. Let me tell you a little bit about him.
Philip Crazy Phil Leonetti was the underboss of the Philadelphia Cosa Nostra family under his uncle, Nicodemo Little Nicky Scarfo. In 1989, Phil became a rat and testified against his uncle. Crazy Phil served only 5 years in prison for confessing to 10 murders.
If Sammy the Bull and all them, the names are Francesi, all these rats never got locked up, where would they be right now? Phil Leonetti, he would be in Atlantic City. Sammy the Bull be on Mulberry Street. Francesi, now he found God. They all found God. You didn't find, when you were robbing government out of gas money, you didn't find God. You didn't go to church and give them no money. You were a tough guy walking around New York. So they didn't change. The handcuffs changed them when they got locked up. That's the bottom line. They could say whatever they want just to try to justify it. This guy said this. This guy was going to kill me. This guy didn't give my wife. Ralph used to say, I went to jail. They didn't give me no money. They all got to say, there's no excuse. They were going to jail. If Ralph didn't go to jail, if he didn't get locked up, he'd be walking around like Hitler.
So Joey's talking about Ralph. When Joey talks about Ralph, he's talking about Ralph Natale. Let me tell you about this whole situation.
Ralph Natale was the former boss of the Philadelphia crime family and the first American mafia family boss to become a rat and turn state's evidence. In 1999, when Natale was indicted for financing drug deals, he morphed into a rat. Natale helped sentence Skinny Joey Merlino to a 14-year sentence in 2001. Natale testified against Skinny Joey Merlino during Merlino's 2001 racketeering trial, but the government was unable to secure a conviction for the murders that Natale alleged that Merlino committed. On December 3, 2001, Merlino was convicted of racketeering charges and given a 14-year prison sentence. Natale admitted to committing 8 murders and 4 attempted murders. Natale died in the Witness Protection Program on January 22nd, 2022.
I've interviewed easily over 100 people that have cooperated for various reasons. And it's always like, I would have gone to jail and done 500 years until I heard the tape of John Gotti saying that he's going to turn on me. And then at that point, I cooperated against everyone. And it's like, well, you didn't just cooperate against Gotti, you cooperated against all these other people that didn't say anything about you. And it's like, well, but it's not just me. I was just one of many, and so forth. There's always a great excuse to cooperate. It's always, I would have done it except that this one thing, and that made me go completely in the opposite direction.
You're 100% right.
Vlad's mentioning how, like, you know, well, Sammy the Bull's supposed reason for flipping, because you're talking about how everybody, all these guys have a reason. There's always a reason. Oh, I heard John Gotti say something bad on a tape. Oh, I'm going to flip. Or in Ralph Natale's case, it's like, they didn't give my wife money. I'm going to flip. Now, this is blowing my mind a little bit, because it seems like Vlad is having this anti-rat revelation, I guess, through Joey. Is Vlad's stance on rats evolving? Many consider Vlad TV, to be the king of the rats. And, you know, he has on a ton of informants, you know, and many actually consider him to be working with the police or the feds. And, you know, these guys that are kind of like Joey's so against, I guess primarily you'd have to say Michael Franzese, you know, Joey's response is when Michael like asked him to appear on his show, Joey's like, I don't entertain rats. And then Sammy, same deal. These are the kind of 2 primary targets of Joey, probably because they're the biggest guys. They're practically regulars on Vlad, but now Vlad is kind of like, seems like he's second guessing this. Now I'm wondering if Vlad has a change, is actually having a legitimate change of heart here, or if Vlad isn't just smart and reading the trends, because Skinny Joey Merlino is on a mercurial rise. He's just ascending, and he's obviously just, people are hungry for this real story of a real stand-up guy. And simultaneously, Sammy the Bull and Michael Franzese are kind of descending, because I think there's several reasons for this. One of which is we've heard their stories ad nauseum, and, you know, Joey is, you know, new to us a little bit. Well, not new to me, but new to many. And so therefore more fresh. But I think that Vlad is either, maybe he is having an anti-rat, you know, revelation. We'll have to see if what kind of, you know, informants he has on in the future, or if he's not just, you know, an astute content creator and following a hot trend. What do you think?
Listen, they can say everything they want, money, chill, this, that. The main thing is, when handcuffs put on them, when they got indicted, that was it. They were telling. If they didn't get indicted, they still be out right now. They still be doing what they were doing. So it's all bullshit when they say, you know, I changed my life. You didn't change your life. The handcuffs changed your life. I'm the same guy. I got indicted 5 times. Nothing changed my life. I'm the same guy. That's it.
Joey's like, I'm the same fucking guy. I got indicted 5 times. I didn't find God. I didn't, you know, change my ways because the cuffs got on me or all this other BS. Joey stayed the same. He's a stand-up guy. That's why I think one of the reasons his story is super compelling on its own, but I think the fact that he is a true stand-up guy is very, very compelling. And I think that it's gaining popularity. And it's like, I think a lot of the rats are kind of pissed off because they kind of own this YouTube space. Joey came along and messed up the program of the rats. You know, the rats were doing really, really well with their mafia stories. I'm a mafiosi. And then Joey comes along and sees this pack of rats. And Joey's response is rat-a-tat-tat. He's just taking out rats, slapping down the pack of rats. And, you know, they don't like it. They don't like it. But I think the public, I think they do like it because they like Joey. They see Joey as a true stand-up guy, and they're impressed by Joey. In terms of Vlad, well, we'll see if he's had some kind of anti-rat revelation.
Billy Luna. Please subscribe to the Billy Luna channel and like the video. Thank you.